Good afternoon. Welcome. It is Monday, March 6th. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. This time next week, we will be on Daylight Savings Time. So looking forward to that, so we get that extra hour. Although at some point, I wish that whole thing would go away. Changing time twice a year. So again, welcome. If you are here, please let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know where you're from. And I will get started very soon because I've got something I think fun and easy to show you. Okay, I don't see anybody here yet. Rose is here. Welcome, Rose. Thank you so much. I may be giving you a call tonight. I'm not sure if I will be able to get over to see you this week or not, but I will call you, okay? All right, I am going to get started. If you saw what I posted about what I was going to do today, it is a partial die cutting. If you've never done that, then I think you're going to be surprised at how easy this is. And it's also a fun fold, so it kind of combines the two things. So, hi Ellen, welcome. Let's flip you down to my desktop. And I put a new transition there. I don't know if you saw that or not, with the way that transitioned from one place to the next. So anyway, I was having fun this afternoon trying to figure new things and always do something different. Hi, Margaret. Welcome from Sydney. You've been here before. It's so exciting to have worldwide exposure. I really appreciate it. All right, let's talk about this fun fold. First of all, let me take a piece of 4 1/4 by 11. Oops, I guess I tucked this away too far. And give you an idea of what this is going to be. If you saw I think I put the dimensions in the description, but when you have a piece of cardstock like this, you typically score it at 5 1/2 because this is 4 1/4 by 11. So it goes that way, or I guess I had it this way. And then to make just a plain fun fold, you can fold it back and then put something else here. You've probably seen that a lot. Anything that is not like this, or the kind that opens from the top, anything that deviates from that is considered a fun fold, or what we call a fun fold, because it's different. And welcome, Sharon. Thank you. So I'm going to take this today and modify it. So as I said before, this is 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored in the middle at 5 1/2. That's half of 11. And then this is half of this, which makes it 2 3/4. So I'll show you down here. Okay, I guess you can't see the bottom of my paper where the ruler is. So let's do it this way. So our paper is 11, 5 1/2 here, and 2 3/4. All right. Okay, I tried to get the bottom of my paper showing the ruler here, but I can't get it in my screen. Maybe I can zoom in on that a little bit more. I always have trouble with the zoom on this. I'm not quite sure. Well, anyway, nope, I didn't want it that way. Okay. So let me show you the template that I came up with to do this. So here we have this. This is the part that gets folded back. This is the partial die cut. So it's actually a swing fold. We're going to swing this open. So it's very easy, but it sure will impress whoever gets the card. All right. Now, I've chosen, on this one, I use the deckled edge on my sample here, my play around. This is some retired paper. But I'm going to use the stitched rectangles today. And there are a lot of stitched rectangles if you've never seen these before. So you've got a lot. They stitch on the inside and the outside. And I'm going to be using the 1, 2, 3, fourth one from the edge on the largest ones. Okay, so it's right in the middle because there are 7 of these. So I've got the one right in the middle. So the fourth one down here. And I believe it actually measures 4, I've already got it pulled out here. Let's get that ruler back here again. This actually measures about 4 1/8. The opening is a little bit smaller. 4 1/8 by 2 3/4. And what you want to do is to find a die that will not be too big and not be too small. That will go in the center of this. Now, I could take a piece of copy paper and figure out, fold that in half and see what the center point is. But if you just look at this, I've got about the same amount of space, if I quit wiggling it around here, the same amount of space here as I have here, and top and bottom. When I looked at one of the larger ones, it would fit, but it was just a little bit too much. I wanted a little bit more space here. So in order to make this work, hi Gloria, you're never late. Thank you. To make this work, you want to probably anchor it down with something. So I have my handy dandy Post-it labeling tape here. I'm going to tear that in half. And I'm going to take a little bit of that stickiness off and put that on my sleeve here, because I did find that it pulled a little bit on one of my samples. Okay, now before I put that in the machine, I want to explain what we do here. This is my template that I will save. You want to cut to the end here, to the card opening, so that it opens like this. If you cut this way, it's not going to open right. So let's get my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine up here on the table. Any die cutting machine will work. You just need to know what your sandwiching is. Let's slide these out of here. And then I'll talk more about the stamp set. I'm not using the dies from the stamp set today, but I'll show you the stamp set here when we get going. So we still have our plate 1, plate 2, and 2 3s. And as I said, I want this part to cut here. When you do partial die cutting, you have to remember that anytime you have the full plate on your plate, everything is going to cut. So if I kept this like this, let me zoom back out again. If I kept this like this, everything will cut. So what I want to do is partially die cut up to the line that is at the 2 3/4, the part that I folded back. Now, let me give you a little tip here. If you do it one way, it's going to slip. So let me show you. When I start to put this through, that's going to slip, and this just doesn't go anywhere. So let's turn this around the other way and get the part that you want to cut in here, if that makes sense. Okay, so I've got part of that in here, and this is the part, the only part that's going to cut. Anything that doesn't have a plate on it is not going to cut. And that's the magic of the partial die cutting. So as I start to push this through, make sure it doesn't slip again, the handle on my machine will start to pull up, and that's what will engage. Let me get back here again. That's what will engage the plates that are in here. So as I push this through, you're going to hear a snap. Right there's the snap. And that was the first part of the die. And then it cuts. So this is the part that went through. I'm going to back it out because that's the easiest for me on this table. And you can see under here that only this part out to the edge is what cut. Okay? So let's move that off the table. You can also do this with circles. Obviously a square. The rectangle is perfect for this too. So I want to carefully pull that off of there. Okay, it's about time for the fingernails to get done here. I will say that the stitched rectangles really do hold tight to your cardstock because of that stitching. Okay, so there we go. Can probably use that again. So I find that I sometimes need to pull my pokey tool under there to release that and not tear that die off of there to get the stitching. So now I can fold. Hey, welcome, Francine. You're never really late, ladies. You're always on time because you can always go back and check the replay if you want to see the beginning again. Okay, that got a little bit. These dies, these stitched rectangle dies, are very old. I've had these since before we started making our own dies. So I don't know if the new ones that Stampin' Up! Makes of the stitched rectangles are the same or not. But anyway, I now want to fold that back. Give it a crease. Now let's get back to the sample here. I want to fold back my part here and also give that a nice crease. So there's our swing. Elaine, welcome. Hello, how are you? All right, so that's it. Now we just need to decorate. And on my template, just as a reminder, I have the two pieces that I've already die cut that are going to be part of the stamping. I need an inside panel that's 5 1/4 by 4 and an arrow here that you want to cut to that end. So I will be keeping that with the samples that I made with this, because it's easy to forget which way you want it to go. At least it is for me. All right, so now putting that piece away, I have already die cut the exact same pieces because I want this to match up with the part that's going to swing. And I need two of them because one is going to go on the outside, one is going to go on the inside. And I'll show you that in a minute, but let's put this away so it doesn't get lost. So you can see there are lots and lots of dies that would probably fit, maybe even this bigger one, but I wanted a little bit more space around the edge. Okay, there's also these little ones too. So there are a lot of dies here. I find if I don't put things away, they end up going missing. Okay, so I've also got my piece to go on the inside. So now we're just going to decorate. So this is going to go here on the outside. That becomes part of the swing part. Or it doesn't swing, but this part does. So let me get the zoom. There we go. But before I glue that on there, I am going to do some stamping. Now, another thing that you could think about doing, knowing what the size is, you could cut paper to that size, because the one thing about a die cut, if it's got that stitching there and I would need to, let's say, make a mistake on here and turn this over, you don't get the same look on the back side. And as I said, this was the finished size is actually like 3 7/8 by 2 1/8. So if you understand that part, this isn't the one that you want to actually turn over a little bit. Okay, so let's do some stamping. And the stamp set that I'm going to use is the new Irresistible Blooms. It's been all over the internet. This is the new one that just dropped on March 1st. That is part of the Online Exclusives. Has some great images. Here are the dies that go with this. There are 13 of them. And here is the paper that goes with it. And many of the images in this paper can also be cut out of the dies. Okay, some of the leaves, I don't think from that one. Okay, this one, a lot of these can be, these small flowers and these little leaves can be cut out. I'll show you one of the samples that I have made when we get done. These leaves can be cut out as well. These little leaves here can, and the little leaves here also have a die. But this paper is just stunning. This looks like something under the sea. And then the other side is equally as pretty, which is a little bit more subtle. And no flowers on that side. And the colors are, let's get this back here. The colors here are Daffodil Delight, Flirty Flamingo, Lost Lagoon, that's a returning color. Petal Pink, Pretty Peacock is also a returning color, and Soft Seafoam. Now, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, or maybe I think I mentioned it last week, because we knew for sure what was happening. We are going to have a Stampin' Up! Color refresh this year. It's been 5 years since they did that. Now, a refresh is different than the in colors that we get every year. In colors, we always have 5 new ones and 5 that go away. A color refresh means brighten things up, some things go away, some things stay. I'm going to go on the assumption, and this is just my guess, is that because this paper has Daffodil Delight, Flirty Flamingo, Petal Pink, and Soft Seafoam, and this package of paper is carrying over through May, that those colors are definitely staying. Again, that's my guess. However, there are colors that have been around a long time. Maybe it's just time for them to go. So my suggestion is, if there are things that you want and make sure that you want, we'll get back here to my face a minute while I talk, that you'll want to make a list. And when that list comes out, which will be the 29th of March, then you can hop right on that and get those papers and ink refills and ink pads, if you don't already have the ink pad, that will be retiring. The same thing goes for the in colors that are leaving. One of my favorites is Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent. But here again, we don't know if maybe those colors that are going to go away will be part of the color refresh. So we never know. That's why it's so fun and exciting. So put that away. And I've got some things already here ready to go. And since I did this with Flirty Flamingo, I'm going to stamp with Flirty Flamingo and Old Olive. Back to my desktop. And I'm also going to pull out something I haven't used in a while, and that is our blender pens, not the Stampin' Blends, but blender pens. Let's see, let's put one of these big ones up here. I want to leave space for a sentiment. And I just re-inked this, so I know it's in good inking. And if you've not used a blender pen before and you want to pull out some fresh ink, now I need to do this as soon as or shortly after I have stamped it, because I can pull on some of that ink I know you probably can't see it too much here, and fill in a little bit of that color. You can also, this might be a better thing to do, to use a blender pen, is to use some of the ink here and kind of highlight. It gives you a totally different look than the alcohol markers and just adds a little bit more color. There's a specialized solution in a blender pen, and you get 3 of them in a pack. And they are on page 129 in the annual catalog. And suggested that you use it with basic white or shimmery white cardstock and our regular ink here. It would not probably work with the Memento or anything like that. So Ellen, you love the blender pens. They really give you a lot of options for coloring. You can also use these with the watercolor pencils and put some of these on. You're right, they're not as messy as watercoloring. So I just added that little bit of color there. Not sure you can really see that well. I'm going to add some green to it, but I like the way that looks. And let's grab the smaller flower. that down in this corner. And do a little bit of coloring with that too. You really get a lot of bang for your buck with these. I've had these a long time. Granted, I haven't used them as frequently as I should or could, but you get 3 of them, and there are double-ended. Yes, they're great with the dark, or excuse me, with the white craft ink too. So you just kind of run that off until there's no other color on there. So now let's add some, before I put that color away, let's add a sentiment here. Let me be sure that's going to fit. Yes. And this is one of the sentiments in the stamp set. It's going to go over that a little bit, but that's okay. I couldn't be happier. Wait, that's not what I want to put there. That's going to go on the inside. Almost forgot what I was doing here. Okay, so let's get some leaves here. That's going to go on the next piece. Or on a stamped image of a darker shade. I've not tried that in a while. Ellen, thank you for that tip. Okay, so I'm using this larger 3-leaf stamp and add that there. Now at this one, I love the way that one just gives that little hint of green to pull in on those leaves. And let's put another piece over here. This is easy to do without, there I just took some ink off of this, the ink pad, and that is too much. So that's not going to really look very good, so maybe I might have to cover that up with something. That was too much ink. So it's better if you just let the ink do itself and pull that in. It's going to have to stay for this right now, though. Okay. And on this one, I do want to stamp hello right here in the center. And that's in Flirty Flamingo. Can I zoom out a little bit? Yes. Is it Rose? Yes. How's that? Is that better? Thank you. If I don't look up at the screen, I kind of lose track of what I'm doing. So that reminder is good. All right. So that's not good, but it tells you what you shouldn't do. Sometimes we make mistakes. All right, so that is going to eventually go here. So now let's do the inside. And I'm also going to do some other stamping with the little splotchy thing that's here too. Thanks. Thanks for that reminder, Rose. Okay, I love stamps like this. Does anybody remember itty bitty, what was it called? Itty bitty spots or itty bitty something? It was way back in the day. And those things just really add a lot to a card, especially if you've made a mistake. So on this one, I'm going to take the small one. And that's going to go over some of the dots because I want to use a sentiment in here. And I learned that, looking up in the color coach, that Mary Merlot is a good combination to go with Flirty Flamingo. So who would have thought? So I'm going to stamp this in Mary Merlot. I couldn't be happier to have you as a friend. And we need a leaf for that flower, and then we'll put it together. Okay, as a reminder, if you are not a Paper Pumpkin subscriber, you could subscribe for 1 month and get the 10th anniversary Paper Pumpkin kit, because it will include a bonus stamp set, so you get 2 stamp sets, and see what it's all about. It's going to be really cute. So if you want more information on that, but you can go to paperpumpkin.com and subscribe. You don't need anything more than just 1 month, but if you like it, it's just a great option for stamping when you don't have a lot of space or a lot of time, and you get a stamp set every month. The first time you ever get it, you get a block, and you also get ink spots, or at least 1 ink spot. Okay, so there we have. I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. Okay, let's put this on the inside, which I just managed to get some ink on. And I'm going to put those little spots around the edge here. It's like I'm throwing everything around today. Just going to go around the edge there. So that's going to go on the inside. Now, when you would be sending this card, keep in mind the way it's going to fold. Let's see, we need a few more dots down here. I'll just add them to that part. You would not want, that's why I put this here, you wouldn't want to do any writing out here on this side. So as long as you can write here, then nobody would see anything here. So that's kind of why I did that there. Okay, so now let's put the hello part here. I can't believe I'm making a card without a Stampin' Dimensional. There's nothing to pop up this time. So I'm going to line this up. You want to make sure that that's going to just fit. Okay, and it does. So there's that part. And then this other piece is going to go on the inside. And you just line it up with the part that's on the left. So there we have it. Okay, now I'm going to add some, I should have done this before, but I'm going to add some of these little spots around the edge too. I just remembered itty bitty backgrounds. Who remembers itty bitty backgrounds? They were wood mounted stamps that I know that there was one of these, just little spots and dots. And when they finally retired, it was like, oh my goodness, how could those retire? So there's that. And let's add a little dragonfly. Let's close this up. The dragonflies are in the current mini. Hope you still have that set and still use them. They are timeless and classic. That is fun. That is good. Now, I don't even remember if those were ones that we still had to trim around, or if that was when, let me think. Nancy, maybe you can help me out here. Do you remember Itty Bitty Backgrounds? If we still needed to trim the rubber around the edge on those, because those were a long time ago. Okay, so back to this. I'm going to kind of roll up this little glue dot. I'm using the Take a Pick tool and add one of these little silver dragonflies there. Okay, I just love this. It's so cool. And also got from the limited edition stamp set, which I think everybody should have, with all your handcrafted things. This is the one that is used if you're going to sell your cards, but it's also, 20 plus years, exactly. It's also used with the angel policy. That's why the Stampin' Up! Information is there. So I'm going to put Made with Love on the back of this. It's kind of like the little hallmark that you put on a card. And put your signature there. And what's nice is that this stands up, so whoever gets it. Hope, thank you for that must have been easy for you to go look for it. They had to be cut around. So that was, I've been a demonstrator for 26 years now, and I do remember cutting around those. So, boy, I'm sure glad those days are gone. Whoa. Okay, here was my original prototype that I was playing around with this morning, that I showed you, that I used the deckled edge. And this was Daffodil Delight. And on this one, I believe I used Calypso Coral. It was just kind of playing around with it. And I did put a stamp down in the corner there. So let's decorate the envelope with just a stamp instead of using some of the designer paper, and then I'll show you some samples. Wow, we're getting done a little bit early today. That's usually my goal, but I end up talking too much. Put a pretty flower there. And some leaves. Boy, I sure hope Old Olive never goes away. That is one of my favorite greens. We have so many greens anyway, but I love Granny Apple Green. But there's just something classic about Old Olive that is not only classic, but it's classy. It's such a pretty color. And granted, it doesn't go with everything, but it definitely goes with the Flirty Flamingo. So there's our card for today. Let me show you some samples. We'll get these ready to clean. Okay, one thing about the blender pens, because they do eventually dry out, make sure you put the cap on them. Don't let them sit without a cap. And I just always keep mine in the little pouch that they come in. Okay, I kind of made a mess here today, so let's put that away. And these are the cards. A couple of these I did show a few weeks ago when we had the pre-release of the Irresistible Blooms. So I had made this one with one of the new embossing folders. And this is with the loose dots and some of the paper. Just a very simple card. And then I showed this one with, I think this is crushed curry, the week that I used that die, which now has totally escaped me. Hey, Shirley, welcome to you. And this was one where you could also see the reverse side of the designer paper. Okay, here's what I did this morning with one of the new embossing folders. And again, they don't have specific names, but it comes in a set of 3. This one looks like a little flower, almost looks like a starfish, I guess. But I just took some strips of the paper that I had laying around and put those on there. And that one doesn't have anything inside yet, just a nice little hello card. This one, I just love that particular die, and that's this one. This does not actually cut out itself. When that goes on the card, it only cuts around and you get that look with it. Okay, so seen some lovely things done with that. And there's those little flowers that I cut out of the designer paper. So I did birthday wishes there, and then a little bit of sponging on the inside. And when you have edge pieces of your designer paper, cut those out and add those to your card. Don't let them go to waste. And then this was one I was playing around with yesterday. This is this piece. And this one, it's kind of gets wonky when you cut it all out because all of these little things just kind of go their own way. But it does cut out, and I did 3 of those on this card, if you can see that up close, and put a frame around it, and then cut off the edge there. So I didn't use the, what do I want to call it? The adhesive sheets. I just did little dots of glue behind some of those larger pieces of the die there. Thanks, Elaine. And then added that. So that was just kind of playing around with. So there's the other embossing folder, that dot one. And that's a fold like that. So I was just kind of playing around. So back again, here is this one for today. And this little sample one here. So I wish you a great rest of the week. We're still kind of between winter and spring here. We know that in March we'll probably get some snow, but so far we're in the 40s and 50s, so that's good. And I will see you next week when we will be in daylight savings time. So have fun, create some, and take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.